Okay, hello, welcome in. Kyle, can you hear me? Hopefully. Oh no, I'm muted. Oops, hold on. Hello, welcome in. Hi, Kyle, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Ron.
Wonderful. Welcome everybody to Over the Cushion, Ripple production here on Facebook and YouTube. I'm here with my good friend Kyle Hervey, and you're watching Over the Cushion. We talk about dirt racing, cover some news, different divisions. Anything that has to do with dirt is basically where we're at. We kind of delve into a little bit of pavement sometimes, but mainly just dirt. We're live here every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook and YouTube, and the full version of the podcast that you can find on Facebook and YouTube after the fact, and on Anchor, which kind of puts it out everywhere. But Kyle, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Ron?
Not too bad. So, so we had probably not too much go on, but a good amount of news. Anything specific that you found interesting this week as far as racing is concerned?
In small car, we had the race at Millbridge for 10,000 to win going on. There was a lot of good micro sprint drivers down there. It seemed like a pretty interesting race. I only got to catch some of the highlights, and then I had some friends racing down there. I heard what they had to say. My buddy Chase Cabery ran up front for a lot of the race before he ran into some issues with, I guess, something to do with either the sprocket or the sprocket carrier, which put him out of the lead of the race. And eventually, Steven Snyder Jr. inherited the lead and went on to win. So he's been on a tear this season, winning a lot of big races.
Yeah, seriously, it's been nuts. I mean, congrats to him, but at least from what I saw from Haley Deegan's video, it was just like the bolts that hold the sprocket on that got sheared off or something, which stinks because like $5 worth of bolts made him lose 10K because he was cruising up there for sure. Like I don't know. He had the fastest car like all week basically, and I mean good on Steven Snyder because I don't even think he inherited the lead. I don't know. He was still in the top 3 or something.
He was running like third or fourth, but from what I was told, there were issues with a couple of the top guys. I can't remember what the guy's name was who was in the Trackhouse car. He was running up front as well, and he had issues, I think.
Oh yeah, he broke too.
But sometimes you got to be in the right place at the right time. It's funny.
Sometimes.
When I was working with Aiden Donaldson over the summer at Shellhammers, we had a really good run going and broke, and it was the same thing that Chase ran into, where the sprocket carrier came apart, but when Aiden's broke, it actually snapped. All the bolts stayed intact, and the sprocket carrier itself snapped into pieces.
What? That's
cars
stinking nuts, man.
Cars put out a lot of torque. I mean,
just a smidge, just a little.
That's one of the first things I thought about when I heard they were going to run Atlantic City on the pavement. Is like, if we're tearing this stuff up on dirt like that, man, you got to really have your stuff on point. I know in the slingshot we run into similar issues with the gear carrier where I've shredded them indoors. Actually, when I was running the aluminum flywheel, it has so much torque and there's so much grip. I would replace the aluminum gear carrier every race because I would every indoor race because I was wrecking them so bad.
Really? Oh
yeah.
Well, I mean, and they got that Coke syrup down and stuff. So I mean, you're really putting some serious business to the ground, and especially if they end up going that electric route, you're really gonna be ripping some stuff up for sure.
Yeah, definitely. The electric chain drive, I'm worried about blowing the chain apart. So
is there any way to possibly run a direct drive straight to is there a possibility for that?
I don't know. I mean,
the sprint cars just have a direct. I mean, obviously they're full size motors and stuff, but they just have a engine straight to the back wheels.
You'd have to put a differential in.
And that causes probably more issues than.
Yeah, you're going to be losing a lot of power if you put a diff in there. It's also going to be expensive, and it's not going to make the car. I think their goal is to keep the car as similar to a traditional slingshot as possible.
Yeah, just keep it as cost effective as possible, but we'll see if that makes any sense. But as far as other racing news, congrats to Joey Logano on his second NASCAR Cup Series champion. This is the most boring race I've ever watched in my entire life. Nothing happened. He dominated the race and then won it. That's
it wasn't that. It
wasn't that bad, but still, you think NASCAR would pay one of these lower level teams to spin out with 2 to go or something, right? Bring out the overtime.
Yeah.
Right? Just give them a couple grand.
I'm
This
a huge Ryan Blaney fan, and sometimes it pains me because he is like a colossal team player, and he won't risk something because I feel like he definitely had the faster car there at
he
the end, and I
did
really wanted to see Ryan just drive up there and drive past him and get
get his
the
first win
with
of the
the
season. Yeah, me too.
yeah,
Me too, man.
and that would have given us 20 different Cup winners if somebody had
That's
won, and I think the best shot was Ryan going up there and winning, or if Truex won, but yeah, 20. That's we finished with 19 different winners in Cup this year, which is pretty wild.
yeah. I mean, like, if they wanted parity between all the teams, they got it, man. Because like that's that's impressive. I mean, I hope it holds true till next season when they make some of these changes that they want to make safety wise. I don't know if that'll change anything performance wise, but
It
still super cool.
it shouldn't. And
Yeah.
then also in local short track racing news, I saw new clay going down to match up with the new guardrail at Lanco, which I'm very
Oh
excited about.
yes.
Hearing from people over this last year with how rough the track had been, and having some issues with like a lower car count, I'm hoping to both in the micro and the slingshot that's going to bring the car count back up. I always love that place, so I'm excited to hear to see what new clay is like around that place.
Very nice. And then also this weekend we had um the World Finals at Charlotte for
Yep.
the late models, the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, and the Super Dirt Car Series, which is pretty sweet. Um, who? So Matt Williamson won the first night for the modifieds, and then I believe what's his name, Matthew Desjardins, a French Canadian, inherited the lead when Shepard broke, and he just held off Tim Fuller at the end and got his first Dirt Car Series win at Charlotte, which is pretty wild.
Awesome.
Alex Jankowski did that last year actually, and he's the youngest one to win. And then Matt Williamson won again yesterday, but Matt Shepard already locked up the championship. That's his 9th Super Dirt Car Series championship, and he won. Let's see, he won the Utica Roan Track Championship, Orange County Track Champion, the North and South for Short Track Super Series. He won the Elite for Short Track Super Series, and this. So like he, ran the gauntlet and won every big 200 lap race. I think he won 4 or 5 200 lap races this year too. Probably over 700,000 in winnings, 6 championships. I mean,
Did Matt Shepard win one of the late model races this weekend too?
no, Brendan Shepard runs late models.
Gotcha.
Different Shepard. I don't think they're related, but Brendan Shepard's also one of the best
Gotcha.
late model drivers
That makes more sense.
And they have their Short Track Super Series is going down to Louisiana next week for the Cajun Swing. So that's going to be pretty cool. But tonight is the Danny Sereno 100 at Bridgeport. So
I bet if I open my window, I can hear them running right now.
You probably could. Those big blocks are
I know.
pretty freaking loud.
You can hear them echo across the river on a cool night if it's quiet out. And I am just across the river from Bridgeport.
That's sweet, man. That's super cool. Yeah, I don't know. There's not too much. I mean, obviously we're like towards the end of the season,
Winding down for the season.
Winding down. I mean, once we get it back into the swing of things, come April, May, we're gonna have too much stuff to talk about because there's gonna be lots going on, and it's gonna be super, super awesome.
Definitely.
Hold on, was it? Darian from YouTube says, Ron, will you be back? Will you be at Action Track in 2023? Good possibility. I want to get up there and watch the 600s because I've never seen the 600s run there. I was up there for the speed weeks for the slingshots, and it was really cool watching them in the XL 600s. But I mean, they're just like the 600s micro sprints is like why you go there, right, Kyle?
I mean, it's definitely the up and coming talent, but I think a lot of people go to watch the speedsters because you're pulling so many big names to run the speedsters there, and they put on a pretty solid show most of the time.
Like, why did that class come about? Like, that's another Tobias creation, right?
Yeah, I have no idea. I think it's a very awkward car. It's like a 4-cylinder Ford Focus motor. And the way the car is put together,
Yes,
it's
I thought it was a Mopar. I thought it was like a Geo
it might be.
or
I don't know. Uh it
Dodge
might be one
Neon.
or the other, or
Maybe it's
you
a
might be
Dodge
able to run
Neon.
both if they're the same displacement. I'm not 100% sure on that. I think
Okay.
it's 2.0. But the cars are kind of awkward. They're like a modified motor plate and transmission and everything just strapped into a sprint car style chassis.
Yeah, it's like a weird
Um,
shaped chassis.
yeah, it's definitely weird, like a kind of bolt-on front clip, and then with the way the sheet metal is put on there, typically in a sprint car or something, it's carbon fiber or fiberglass for the body. So I don't know, they're kind of awkward cars. But when you're pulling a lot of talent like you get with Billy Pouch, Timmy Buckwalter, and just other big names that are running them week after week, they put on a good show. I think that draws a lot of people to Action Track, but the micro sprints there definitely have a lot of young talent and up and comers that are going to move on to do great things, and they always put on a good show there as well.
Exactly. And I don't know. I've never driven one. They're Mopar. Yeah, I figured they were Mopar motors just because like they're USAC sanctioned. Maybe this is weird, but like the midgets, they're Mopar engines, right? They're just like souped up Mopars. So I figured, why would he just I don't know. I feel like Mopar handles
There's
that.
a lot of the midgets are Toyota too.
Are they? Oh yeah, because Toyota is
Because
like super
they're all
awesome and makes
TRD.
motors.
I don't really know. I never really paid attention to the rules.
No, I don't. Do they go faster than the 600s?
What, the speedsters?
Yeah.
Uh, I honestly don't
I
know.
don't know.
I don't know. I think on a bigger track they would, but it's the 600s are lighter and have a lot more torque, I would think, and they can get like a lot more low end power out of the car, so they accelerate harder. The speedsters are a little bit heavier and bigger car, so it's I don't know at Action Track which one's faster. I would probably say the 600s, but if you go someplace, I don't know. I think so. I mean,
I
obviously,
bet you
like
at
big track,
Bridgeport. I bet you at
yeah, big
Bridgeport they
track at
really haul.
Bridgeport,
You'd be
yeah,
hauling
but
the
it's hard to
mail.
compare because the 600s don't run the big track there. So I would love to, but
That'd be
probably not a good
wild.
idea.
I want like you'd be catching fourth, right? You wouldn't be in third, right? Or
Wow.
would you just change the gearing?
You could just I would probably run a fourth gear setup, and I would probably still start in second, and I would shift twice because you'd be running such a small axle gear to get the gearing out of it. But I mean, if you really wanted to, you could start in second and run third gear. It's since you can change the gear ratio on the motor and the axle, it doesn't matter what gear you're in the actual transmission.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess we'll just move on here. And if you want to introduce our good friend that's coming on here.
Yeah, so we were talking about Matt Shepard and all of the wins and championships he has. We have the slingshot Matt Shepard here, Brett Bieber. He has just picked up his 6th slingshot world championship title. He has 15 track championships between 3 different tracks and over 180 exactly slingshot wins. And he is going into just his 15th season next year with the slingshot. Brett, do you have us there?
Oh, he's
got me.
He's loading in. Brett is here. How are you doing, Brett?
Hey, thanks guys for having me.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Can you hear me?
How's it going?
Yep, we got you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, you make me feel old when you say that I have 15 years of experience in slingshots, but hey, I am kind of getting older, so I guess that kind of comes with it, right?
I think we're about the same age,
too,
right?
Man.
I think me and Brett are the same age. What? How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 33.
Yep, same here.
I'm kind of different from, I feel like, today's generation. I've gone to the quarter midget races a lot more this year with my nieces, and when I race quarter midgets, most people race, or I wouldn't say most, but a lot of people race until they're 16, which is what I did, and then you have to move on to the next class. And nowadays it seems like they get to like age 9 and it's time to go to the next one. So I don't know, we kind of did a little different, but it is what it is.
That's what I did as well. Started out in quarter midgets, and I raced I don't remember if I was in till 16, but I mean, it was until high school I was still racing quarter midgets, and then yeah, I would be next year will be my 15th season as well with the slingshots. I just
Yep.
I
You're not full
haven't
time season.
accumulated nearly as many wins as you have.
Well, yeah, we've been lucky to do well, and I didn't start out doing that well when I first started racing, but we obviously know what we're doing a little bit better now, and from a maintenance perspective, and my experience definitely helps me because it's still a somewhat beginner class with mixed ages, and having experience definitely helps. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's definitely been great. This season has been great. We've kind of hit everything this year, and kind of started the year out well at indoors, and it kind of carried through the whole year. And it's hard to duplicate those type of years.
Yeah, and I think earlier this year, you and I had a conversation about how we feel like we're the old guys in the division now. You know, when we started out, we were the youngest there, and it was a lot of adults we
Yeah.
were racing with, and now it's kind of flipped around where a lot of the older guys got out of it, and now people move on so quickly from the division. Um, us being around for 14, 15 years, there's a lot of young kids that are just coming in, run a couple seasons, and then move on to something else now.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of what, the division is somewhat. It's a stepping stone to the next one. Some have raced it for a while, like you and I and some others, but there is some where they only race a few years. But I'd say you would probably agree, Kyle, that it's kind of cool to race with some of the younger kids that are developing and moving on to the next division. I still watch modifieds and other divisions where they used to race slingshots and now they're successful in a different division. And you can say you used to race against them, and if they picked up one good thing racing with you, or they had a good experience with you, probably still keep in touch with them a little bit. So I think that part of it's kind of cool with slingshot racing.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people have come through the division over the years that move on to do bigger and better things. Like you said, one name I'm trying to remember what his name is. Who went on to run trucks that ran slingshots a couple years ago or a couple years?
That was Tyler Dipple.
Yeah.
Oh
Dimple
Hmm.
went
yeah.
on to run modifieds and then eventually into trucks, and I remember racing a couple races with him.
Yep.
Obviously,
Yeah,
and
he
then you
was
have
really little. Yeah, he was a little kid when we ran against him. But yeah,
yeah,
um, I remember racing with him at when we used to go to Penn Can. He was towards the front, and we raced a little bit, but
Oh
not too
no.
often. But I
Get out of
started
here.
back in 2008 when uh, I ran a couple races in 2007, but my first full season was 2008, and that was like when Anthony Perego was running, and like Billy Van Engelwigen and Ben Whitaker and some of those guys that race late models and just all sorts of different divisions. So it was cool to kind of get to race with them that many years ago. And if I see them today, they still talk to me, like we raced back then.
yeah. I remember. I think I only remember racing against Billy one time, and it was funny. He was pitted next to us at Atlantic City one year,
Unbelievable.
and after the feature, he got out of the car, and I was like a little kid, and I'm perfectly fine. And he's looking at me. He's like, "Dude, my arms are killing me. Why aren't you worn out?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
All right, we have a quick question here. WJ Clark from Facebook. What's your next step now that you have accomplished so much in slingers, Brett? Continue with slingers or move up?
Well, I would always say I want to move up, but if I guess we'll buy a Powerball ticket and see if we win.
I,
What is it tomorrow?
yeah, I
And
tell you what, if
yeah,
I if I win it, I'm buying you any race car you want.
yeah,
Anything. I'll buy a
yeah,
trailer, truck, race car. I
hmm
don't care.
yeah. I always say, we'd obviously love to move up. Like anyone, it's my dad and I that work on the race cars, and anything bigger is a huge time commitment, and you have to relearn everything and all that.
Oh yeah.
So, obviously there's that side of things that's a factor, and the other side is the cost. And, sportsman is what I would prefer to race first before like going, like I grew up around modified, so I would prefer to race a modified if I was moving into something else. And Sportsman, it's cool to watch and stuff, and I think I would do okay in it, but it's costly. You have to have a lot of good sponsorship. You have to dedicated to working on it every day in the garage and the shop and stuff. And um, I don't know if we could do a full commitment to it and do it right
Yeah,
with the cost. I know we could buy it and get one, but if we get wiped out in the first few races,
that
it's
stuff ain't
not
cheap.
a couple $100, it's thousands of dollars. So
Yeah,
it adds up
it
quick.
ain't, and plus the tires. I mean, the tires are so expensive now too. It's like you could buy
Yeah.
2 sets of slingshot tires for like the price of a right rear. So it's like
It can also run a full season on a set of slingshot tires.
don't even matter if they're
Yep.
bald. Just keep running.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on a couple of my tires for a slingshot. We're on season 2 for them, and they have plenty of life left, and we kind of just run them till they're gone. Like for me now, I'd almost have to like team up with someone because I know modify when I watch it, but I don't know how to work on it as much. So I would almost need to team up with someone that knows kind of what
Yeah,
they're doing on it, and then try to learn from them and going from there. So. I don't know if you guys saw this week, but it looks like Grandview's running again still, and
Yep.
Copart backed out, and that's our closest track to us from where we are from, and that would probably be where I'd like to team up with someone if I did something like that.
that'd
So
be sweet.
if it's out in the airwaves here, maybe I could team up with someone.
Yeah, anybody out there that has a ride even part time, give Brett a
Yeah,
call. I don't know what his number is, but you find him on Facebook. We'll get it.
yeah.
We'll get you in somewhere,
Send me
buddy.
a
We'll get.
message.
We'll do
Yeah,
something. I'll work hard.
Yeah, having raced with you for so long, like I would love to see you, take the next step and be able to run modifieds or something like that. Just the way you drive, you're one of the smoothest and most respectful guys that I've raced against. I was thinking about it yesterday, and I don't ever remember a time where you and I had any real run-ins,
no,
maybe once or twice. I nothing that sticks out like some of the other run-ins
no.
I've had with people that I know you know the people that I'm thinking of, and because I we've become you and I feel like have bonded over sharing common enemies through a couple seasons here and
Yeah,
there, but I'd love to see you
yeah.
run a big car.
I've always raced. I try to race people with the way they race me respectfully, and hopefully they give that back to you and they see that on the track. It would be a big learning curve racing with. I mean, if you look at those, some of the sportsmen I've raced with almost all of them at some points in time now because of the years of transition. But even if I moved up into a different division, you'd have to gain those guys' respect and race them right. And I definitely have, I feel, the respect of most of everyone in the slingshot division. And I think that's important because it not only helps you with building connections with people, but moving forward, the people know kind of how you are and how you race.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So hold on. I think you'd be great in a sportsman. I think I've seen people going from juniors racing like one season of junior slingshots, never raced anything in their life, and then they like win a 602 crate race. I think that transition is pretty. It's not easy. Obviously, you need to have good equipment, but like the style of driving, I think is pretty similar as soon as you get acclimated to the extra horsepower, because it seems like as far like when I talked to Doug Smith, who has moved from juniors to crate motors, now he's in a 358. He just said like once he got used to the power, it was just like driving an oversized slingshot where it's like just stay smooth, keep the wheels as straight as possible, and just try to be smooth and keep the momentum up. Now that he's in the 358, he said it's a whole different animal, and he's driving with his foot more than you're not always going to be full throttle sometimes depending on the track conditions. But I think he'd do great, and I'd really love to see you and a sportsman. Hopefully we can get that happening this year. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. You have to be around in racing. You have to be around the right people. So
Oh, for sure.
I'd like to do it right. You don't want to just go out there and just make laps in something that's not prepared correctly, because then it doesn't go well, and then
Yeah.
you get a bad taste right
Well,
out of the box. But
beginning of the
if you team up
season,
with someone, it would go. Yeah,
maybe beginning of the season we can figure out how to rent a track. My
yeah.
uncle's got like 2 602 crates, so maybe we can work
There
something
you go.
out. Get some at least get some laps in, just to say you did it.
Yep, for sure.
And
Yeah,
then if you
I
do
always was
good, then
afraid. Yeah, I was gonna say I was always afraid, when I was young, like years ago when I was more thinking of moving up. Um, would I be strong enough to do a modified? But it seems like you were just saying, some of the kids move up from juniors right into it, and they have power steering obviously and modified, so it can't be that bad. And I think I'd be fine to hold up and do all that good stuff. So like you said, maybe one day it'll come along, but maybe we'll win Powerball and we can just team up. We'll just create a 3-car team.
I already told the people I work with, if I, because they're talking about it, and they're like, oh man, I'd buy this house, I'd buy this car. I'm like, man, I'd be buying race cars and trailers and just giving them to people. Because first of all, it'd be awesome, right, to be like an all-star slingshot guy like you, just be like, here you go, you can go race this season, don't worry about cost or anything. And then second, it'd be
Yeah.
great for YouTube videos, because like just giving away like $50,000 worth of stuff would be like amazing. Be like, I gave away this $50,000 race car.
The
Boom.
Mr. Beast of
Views.
Yeah.
racing.
Exactly. That's the long term goal, is to do that for racing. Just show up to a racetrack and just give away race cars. I think that would be so much fun.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll keep dreaming.
We'll keep dreaming. Okay, so you've raced for a long time and you've had a lot of really good seasons. But I guess what was kind of your best season? I know you mentioned it earlier, but or like earlier in the week, but I guess out of all the years you've been running, what's kind of been your most successful as far as maybe X amount of wins or X amount of championships? Because years ago we used to have like the MA Gold and Silver series and
Yeah.
Gamblers and all. We had so many
Yeah.
more series back in the day.
Yeah, I forget the years, to be honest with you. I just remember telling you the stats. I'd have to look at the years again. I know the one year I won 28 races in one year, and I knew that year that was going to be a very tall task to ever get that many wins again. That was when I was racing for Paul Latier, and I would race my car on the side at different tracks. And we were when Schellheimer's first started racing slingshots, we were pretty dominant early on there, and we racked up a lot of wins there in the 32 car. And when I was running with Paul, we were running like the tour schedule a little bit and just traveling. And his car was, I think that was my second season with him, and we were, after we got the first season down, we were kind of meshed together real well, and we did really well there. So that season was really good. 2017 season, I remember that year. That was us teamed up with Donnie Hoffman and Kip in the 151 car, and we had, I don't think our wins were as much, but I think it was like 15 or something, and we won the tours like you were mentioning, and we won the main tour too, the national world thing. So that was really good. And then this year, I would rank this year with those seasons as well, because we have 18 wins this year, and we won kind of the track championships at Action Track and Linda's. And then I never ran the indoor series before fully, and we won the indoor series championship because we won the first two, so it sucked me into the third one. So this year has been really good too. So I don't really rank year by year which one's better than the other. I just kind of show up and hope that we just competitive each week and try to do what we know how to do. And if it comes out as a good season, then great. So, but this year we're definitely, some years you grind on, and it's like, I remember, 2019 season was like my worst season. We were like, I don't know, we just couldn't get things going right. And now I feel like we've like crossed over that bridge, and now we're kind of back to being competitive again and fast at each place we go to. So it makes it fun to go to the track.
It's crazy that you say you had a season. You won 28 races. I have won 27 races in my entire slingshot career. I think, I'm not even sure. It might be 26. So that's pretty crazy. It's
Yeah.
When I heard you the other day on Mike Feltenberger's podcast say you had 180 wins, I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, it was like only a couple years ago he was at 100. What happened? What did
Yeah.
I miss? Like, just
Yeah, I
blink
just
and you
told you
picked
that.
up another 80.
Yeah, I just told you that 2019 was a bad year too. So yeah, I don't.
Maybe we could see 200 this year, man. Who knows? 2023.
I don't know. 20's 20 is tough.
20's a
Even
lot.
18 this year was a lot. That's stretching it. So yeah, if we got to 200 for sure, that would be pretty cool next year. People would be definitely sick of it because that would be a lot of wins. But
I would not. I'd be
you
keep
know,
going, man. Next stop 300.
yeah.
Let's keep
Listen,
it going.
when you start getting close to that 200 number, I'm coming back out of slingshot retirement. We gotta
Yeah.
stop you, man.
I'll
like
start
like
Yeah.
like Bridgeport, the beginning of the year when you won 3 in a row, and I'm like, no, I can't let him win the Roval too. Had to come out and put an end to it.
Well, we have better notebook for the next time for that one, so maybe we'll be a little more competitive for
Yeah.
to give you a run.
I hope
But
they do it again.
yeah,
That'd be
no,
great. Do it.
it's for sure something that we'd like to get to. 200 wins would be really cool. Just winning each year, if you can get into double-digit wins, is special. I obviously race for championships too, so they come a long way with it. But I also like a lot of 15 years of racing. I usually average like 40 or more races a year. That year when I won 28 races, we probably raced like 60 times. I would guess. I'd have to look on the stats, but it was probably a 60 race year. So
That's a lot of races.
we
Man. Holy cow.
yeah, we put up with a lot over the years. A lot of people wouldn't last this long racing slingshots. Randy Smith's the only other one I think that lasted this long.
Well, he doesn't even race anymore. He just lets other
Well,
he just
owning them.
finds he cherry picks the best drivers and then
that's what I was gonna say. He's
lets
owned
them.
them. Yeah, yeah.
He's
So
the master car owner now.
that's right. But yeah, so maybe that's the next checkpoint on our list, and maybe to try to get to 200 wins. But if we got to it next year, that'd be really good. But I think that's a 2 years away at least. So we'll see.
But hey, if you get to 200, I'll definitely make you a custom T-shirt, or maybe we can get a design going. You could I don't know. You could just sell them on your Facebook page since you don't have a website. But I bet you'd sell a ton of those. Like Matt Shepard had his 400 win shirt, and it had like a list of all the tracks he's been to, and then the map and stuff. So that'd be cool to like do one for you. You could have a list of all the tracks and like 200 wins, because that's like, I don't think that's ever gonna happen again. Like,
No.
let's be honest, I don't think that's will ever happen in this. I didn't even think it was possible in this series, in this division at all. But
well, it goes back to the start where people kind of move on and stuff, and they don't kind of go through it that long.
Sure.
But yeah, it would definitely be something cool to accomplish. So we'll shoot for it, and we'll keep you posted as we get closer.
I mean, that's because mainly like kids will do it just to get like a stepping stone, right? They're already thinking about running a big car, and their family's already, that's got that in progress. It's not really a working man's. Like, I feel like the slingshot was designed to be like the street stock of like little cars, you know what I mean, like the working man's division.
Right. Yeah.
And then it just turned into like, guys, run this for like a year or two to figure out how to set up a car, and then we'll just go into bigger cars. But speaking of Randy, I don't know who Darian is, but he said he bought Randy's car, I guess. Remember maybe he's the one that bought the 5. And he plans to run Hamlin and Kutztown. Well, if you're gonna run Hamlin, don't touch the car because it's probably set up perfectly. Any advice? If you guys want to give him a slight little advice for like 2 seconds, that's great. But I mean, it's tough to even give him like a sliver of advice because there's just so much, especially if you're brand new to the division.
Yeah, so for me, I'd say for Hamlin, each corner is 2 different corners. The new style Hamlin, turn 1 and 2, you can't drive wide open. You have to kind of back off and let the car kind of rotate, and then you can kind of get back on it once you're pointed straight. 1 and 2, you can kind of stand on the gas a little bit more, but generally you're still going to lift a little bit there. For action track, I don't know. It's kind of a unique track compared to some of the others because of the banking. It's like your standard. You run, higher on the straightaway, and then I'm a bottom feeder, probably because I'm older. I don't know, but generally slingshots you run on the bottom anyway. But there I ran better on the bottom this year than most people did, and that kind of got me through. But when you're in traffic, you have to go where they're not, so you kind of have to move around a little bit. What's been nice about action track the last few years, the track on general most weeks hasn't been quite as rough as it was in years past. So for a slingshot, it's a little bit better, but they do have their moments where some weeks they miss it, and but we're early in the show there, the way it's been the last few years, where we're before the speedsters or the 600s, so you kind of have what's left after the heat race from their tracks, and that I actually like it because we get done earlier and we race in front of a bigger crowd. So I think
They
it's from a promotional standpoint that's nice.
they should race the slingshots first every week. You know what I mean? Don't run 'em- I hate when
Yeah,
they run them last. Just like right
yeah,
after you grade the track or like water, do whatever. Well, actually, no water, no water.
yeah.
Just grade it and just let the little cars go out there. Don't beat the crap out of the track and then have these little go
Right.
karts run out there and bounce around. That's
I
just
got a
that's
Yeah,
just me.
I got a hot take on action track and other tracks for that matter. I
there you go.
Go ahead.
I think the rougher the track, the better the show we put on and the better the racing is. I don't necessarily like running on a rough track because it is physically painful and you also tear up a lot of stuff, but I remember some of the times when there were years ago when we always had a B main at Action Track. I have started outside of the top 30
Yeah,
on like the roughest track in the world and driven to like a top 10 finish. And I even think like Hamlin sometimes gets ruts built up. And when you get a rough track or ruts in like thinking of Hamlin entering what now is 1 and 2, when that rut starts to come in, you get people running above it, you get people running below it, and it really forces you to get, double file racing. And I think a rough track for whatever reason just it really makes the talented guys who can run through the ruts and everything rise above everybody else.
yeah.
I can see that. I mean, I've never
It,
driven on a
it's
It
just
makes
rough
people
painful.
mess
track.
up. Yeah,
It
it
does.
makes people mess up for sure. If you don't hit your spot and you hit the bump the wrong way or whatever, it makes you move up. I was always better on a smoother track on the opposite of what Kyle's saying, but you're just gonna get used to it when you race a slingshot racing on a rougher track because they're not always gonna be perfectly smooth just because of the classes we race with. So you just gotta get used to it and do the best you can with it.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I was thinking about it before. Do you know how many different tracks you've raced at in the slingshot?
Yeah, luckily, I was gonna actually say that I forgot. Luckily, Travis, my older brother, mentioned to me about keeping my statistics when we first started racing. So luckily, I have an Excel spreadsheet where I keep track of them all.
Holy
I do
cow!
not know offhand because I don't have it in front of me, but I would guess that I've raced at over 20 tracks. We just raced that Pagoda the other week, and that was a new one for me. Um, and Syracuse this past year was the first time I ever raced there in the indoors. So that I actually like doing that sometimes. We wanted to try to get to, uh, or I at least like trying to get to like one racetrack a year that we never raced at. So that part of things is kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. I would say you've raced at probably more like 35 or 40 tracks because I have a list and I have raced 30 tracks and I know you have raced
Really?
more tracks than I have. Yeah. Because
Hmm.
I've never run
All right.
I've run, yeah, I think I have 30. You know what? Give or take a couple cuz I hit in 2019 I hit a bunch of New York tracks as well and I don't know if you raced at them. I hit Caroga Creek, Glen Ridge,
Nope.
and Bethel.
No, I
Um
never raced at all three of those. Nope.
but I know I've never run Penn Can.
Uh,
Um I'm trying to think.
5 Mile Point.
I raced that
Did you ever race there?
once and it was awful. I do not I hate big tracks. Um
Yeah.
did you run Middleford?
Yep. One
Yeah.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't like kind of what you just said. I'm not a big track guy either, but yeah, it was on the schedule, so we went
Mid,
to it, and
Again, Middleford was fun because the track ended up being rough and me and
yeah.
Scott were running the top in 3 and 4 and the bottom
Oh,
of
that's
1 and
right.
2.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Oh, you
was
just liked it because you did good then.
well, I liked it and hated it at the same time because I also tried to kill myself in the micro. So,
Yeah,
that
that's right.
Just
I
do it
remember
all.
that. Yeah, that was the start of the year.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
I slipped on ice at work in February, fell, fractured my femur, tore everything in my knee.
Oh my
The day before the Middleford race, I
dude!
got cleared by the doctor to go back to racing and then immediately just wanted to see, you know, how hard I could hit the wall first race of the year and the micro. Man, that sucked. That I don't even want to talk about it. That car is messed up. But I mean, that was
Let's
honestly
see
the
here.
hardest hit I've ever had in my life, and also the best I've ever felt walking away. I don't know. I had recently switched to a Bell helmet, and I've had small impacts
Mhm.
in the with other helmet companies in the slingshot, and really, you know, rang my bell. Man, I hit so hard. I'm sure that my head bounced off the steering wheel because I felt my arms and my legs hit everything inside that car, and I got out of the car and I was just like expecting to feel sick immediately. I felt perfectly fine the rest of the night, hopped in the slingshot, ran, still felt perfectly fine afterward. I was like really, really happy that I did not hurt my head because I have taken a
Mhm.
couple hard hits in my time, and
You are
yeah, not enjoyable.
crazy.
But back to the tracks we've raced at, like there's a couple tracks
Yeah.
that I would love to see come back. Like Greenwood used to be on the
Yep.
schedule, and then I loved the short track at Selinsgrove.
Yeah.
What are some
For
tracks that
sure.
you would like to see come back?
Yeah, Ceilings Grove was one of my favorite tracks to race at, but unfortunately they haven't raced there for a little while. But I think they just switched management this year, so maybe potentially they can get some races back on the schedule. It's so far away. I think the only way it makes sense to get car count there is only have one or two, to be honest, which is how it kind of was before. But yeah, I liked racing there. I also liked racing Greenwood too. Again, it's far away, but one or two races there, I don't think that's too bad to get people to go to it. Um, boy, put me on the spot. I didn't really think of other tracks that I raced at.
Did you
When you were
I
talking
was
about
good at
tracks, the
that.
one that popped into my head was, did you do that Nescahoning Grand Prix thing? That just popped into my head when you were talking
Was
about
that
different tracks.
the pavement road course?
Yeah, they
I
just set it up like with Kovac.
No, I didn't. I wish I did.
You would have liked it. I didn't think you were there, but I wasn't sure. That was kind of a cool expedition race where they had different drivers from different series race it, and I didn't actually do very well in it, but it was a good time to do something a little bit different. That pagoda track honestly had potential to be good that we were racing at. I think they're moving to a different location, so maybe they'll set something up for us there. It's just the track was a little rough that weekend, the racing was rougher, and I think if you had people that have raced slingshots with experience race on it, I think there would have been less crashes, and the turns needed to be a little bit more sweeping. There's potential there, you know. There's not often where you have new tracks on the schedule, so I thought that that was cool. So maybe where they move to their new facility, maybe they'll have a circle track, and we can, or they can do another, maybe something there. So I don't know. That's
Yeah,
all. I can't think of any others.
did you run Grandview when it used to be on the schedule?
Yeah, I'd rather race a modified at Grandview.
Yeah, I wanted to pick up. It got rained out. It was supposed to be back last year, but it got rained out. I think it was last year. But yeah, I'm like you. I like just picking up random tracks, and for whatever reason, I've always been really good at going to new tracks. Like I was saying earlier, when
Hmm.
I in 2019 when I made the New York swing, we went to
Yep.
Caroga, and that track, Caroga Creek, is really cool. It's a little weird. They still hand score everything. It's kind of like a lower budget go-kart track, but
Yeah.
Love hand
it was
scoring.
it was more
What?
circular and it was dead flat, but it had a lot of tack to it. And it raced really well, and I won. I don't remember if I won both of my heats, but I know I started on pole and I made it 3 laps and I stripped out the keyway in the axle and uh couldn't finish the race. But then so that was a new track for me. The next day we pulled out the second car, went to Glen Ridge, set track record and won, and then a little bit later we went to Bethel for the first time and won there. So I just love going to new tracks. I mean, same thing with the little track at Selinsgrove. First time we unloaded there was with a brand new car for me, and set quick time and ran out front. And that was, I miss having the championship race there. It was fun. And I even think that the half-mile track there raced pretty well. It was a little sketchy, but it wasn't bad. It was a fun
Yeah.
race.
Yeah, I would agree. It wasn't too bad. You have to race with people that know what they're doing. You're going too fast to be messing around, and if you get into something, you're not gonna you're not gonna feel
It's
good
not gonna
about
end.
it.
It's not
So
gonna end very well for sure.
yeah, yeah.
So, so
I try to we try to also go to tracks where you're gonna get a little bit of payback, and I think the ones that you were mentioning, I don't think I go to or I've gone to those ones just because the payout's not super great. So, but
Yeah.
someday maybe we'll get there.
Yeah, I think the race I won at Glen Ridge, there was probably 17 cars there, and I think they paid me I think it was less than $100. You
Yeah.
know,
yeah, it's
had to get
not.
a hotel for the weekend, and it was
That's not.
three
That's
hour
not too
drive
good.
there. Yeah, yeah.
No.
But
There used to be like a mandatory entry fee amount for the tour races and a mandatory payout, and I don't know why they ever went away from that.
Yeah.
so
Not
Brett.
my department.
It's not my job. It's not my job.
Yeah.
I'm just here to race. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull up some pictures. You can't see them, but I'll just like kind of explain what they are because we have
All right.
Mark Daniels in the chat talking about you know the old tour of like Sealands Grove and Greenwood and the same weekend, Paradise Speedway in New
Yep.
York. He wants to know if you remember that one,
Yep.
but
I do.
just specifically with I have a picture here of you and JD from your Facebook page, but or I guess Mark, what do you? I guess like what I'm told, he's like one of the kind of undercover goats of the slingshot division. He's mentored a bunch of people who've gone on to win a lot of races and a lot of championships. And like, I guess what's your opinion of Mark in general and what he's kind of done for slingshot racing?
Yeah, for sure. I think we all kind of, if you were in slingshot racing or around it, you kind of know him. I think I didn't get to race with him in too much because when I was first coming in, he was kind of moving out of the regular weekly action. But I still got the race against him in a couple one-off races when he ran still for Randy or other stuff. And yeah, he knows the stuff about slingshots, bottom line. And as you mentioned, he developed quite a few different drivers and helped them get better as a driver along the way. He knows how the cars work. He's definitely helped us along the way sometimes as well. If we had a question or needed help with something, he was always there to help us. You know, I talked about, say, 2019 there where I was struggling. If I would reach out to him, he'd say, well, what are you doing? This, or this. And, you know, you could try to look back at something and try to improve upon it. He's always kind of willing to help you and make you try to improve and get better. So, uh, nothing but positive things to say about him. He definitely knows what he's doing. He's a tough competitor. He was always fast. I think he won. I feel like it was 2007 was when I only ran a few races when my brother first got a slingshot, and I feel like he might have won the Hamlin Championship because I think I raced the last night there, but I don't know. He'd have to answer better than me. But yeah, I remember the old 357, the black car, and he was fast at there, Linda's, wherever the tour ran.
Wherever they ran. Nice. And the
Mm-hmm.
next picture is actually an old picture from Hamlin. Gosh, I don't know how many years ago it is, but it's I think this is, as far as I can tell on your Facebook, this is when you ran Danny Buckafuska's orange 43 car. Like,
Yeah.
if I know Danny, like hell or high water, he's gonna be behind the wheel of a race car. Like, how did you end up behind the wheel
Yeah.
of his car that night? I guess because like
Well,
he's like a racer's racer. He wants to drive anything with four wheels and a steering wheel. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
he would probably tell the story better for sure because I don't know all the details. But the week before, after the night was over at Hamlin, he was still little at that time. I don't remember what age he was, but he wanted to go out and test the 600, and something happened, and he
Oh, was that
junked it
after
or
he?
something.
Oh
And
no,
yeah,
he told it on the low down and dirty thing. He
I
said
love that story.
yeah,
usually, so I guess usually he like goes slow when he's in a new car, but for some reason he decided to really
he was a kid. He was
feel the
gassing it.
energy of a 600,
It
and he
was
Yeah,
completely trashed Shannon's 600 and
yeah.
like broke his arm. What did he break his leg or something? I don't even know. He
I think
hurt
it was
himself.
arm. Yeah,
It was pre Hamlin having a catch fence, I'm pretty sure, because Dan I've heard Danny tell it a couple different times.
Gosh.
And I think it was Shannon's car, and I think it was they were letting him test it for his birthday,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
he just sent it in there, and it just hooked, and he flipped it out of the park, landed in the field, and all I
Oh
laugh
my
every time he tells it
gosh.
because he swears that the ghost of Tupac came down and flipped the car back over so he could get out of it. I love Danny, man. He's
Yeah.
hilarious.
What a nut. But man, yeah, because
Yeah.
I was like, because as far as I could tell, he won so much in the juniors that Tobias wouldn't even let him go back into juniors, even when he was super young. So that's probably why he was
Yeah.
an all-star. But yeah, I just like I
I
saw the
don't know if he
picture.
was running on. I'm not sure if he was running All Stars then or not. I think he might have. I think he was, but he was out obviously. So I knew his dad, or we knew his family and his dad well too. And
Mhm.
he had said, "Yeah, you want to race it next week? You can race it." I think it was a tour race, so we were coming anyway. And I actually got second to Cody in that race, so it was his car. His piece was fast. And then I think the week after that, he left Shannon race it, Shannon Smith, and she actually won. So yeah, the car was good, and yeah, like you said though, Danny wouldn't miss a race if he
He-
unless he was injured. That's the only
yeah,
way he's
unless he
missing a
had
race, and that was the case.
broken limbs, because like he could be sick, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter. He just like he'd be getting in the car. This next
for
one's an
sure.
old one from Linda's. This is an interesting question that I thought of. All your cars that I've
Yeah,
seen the last couple of years have been white, with the lettering and everything. This is the only car that I've seen that was
yep,
black with the red lettering, and I don't know like what's the reasoning behind the
yeah.
black and the red lettering. Is there a certain story behind it, or is it just you just didn't want to get that's just the body that you had at the time, and you don't get it wrapped.
Yeah, so that car, I can't see it, but I'm pretty sure it's in all black with there's 32 on it and some
Yeah,
sponsors.
the red
Yep.
32 with the white
Yeah,
outline. Yeah,
so
yeah.
the car was Ed Schwab's car. Kyle might remember his name. He used to race at Schellheimer's many years ago, and he actually sadly passed away, and we got close with him. And after he passed away, obviously the stuff was kind of up for grabs or for sale,
Oops.
and we knew him so well, and we were helping him with things. We were like, my dad was like, "Do you want to get the car?" And I said, actually, no, because we already had like three and didn't want another one. And we ended up getting it, and his body was all black like that. So all we did was take the lettering off of it. Honestly, we would probably never have a black car like that because it's dark, and I don't know if I like it too much, but that car came out really nice with the way it looked with the graphics and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we ran that one for like that for a while, but I bet you every other body we had on our car was all white.
You you've run so many different cars that there's sometimes I'm racing you and I don't even realize it's you. I'm like, who is? Oh, it's Brett. He switched cars, like Speed Week or something like that. You'll run 3 different cars, and I'm just like, man, I
Yeah,
can't keep track. At least my two
yeah,
cars
for
look the
sure.
same.
Yeah, you'll never
I,
mistake a Kyle Hervey car ever.
that's right. It's kind of funny this year. I ran my car in the same car in every race this year, except I ran someone else's car in 2 races. So that was kind of different for other years. But yeah, you are right. I do race a lot of other cars, but we tried to get more narrowed in on downsizing our inventory and just focusing kind of on a couple of cars instead of various.
That's probably smarter as you're getting deeper into the 15th year here. But
Hmm.
there's another one here.
Yeah.
It's a red car, a Slinger Warehouse car, the 7. And I know
Yep.
you ran another Slinger Warehouse car in an indoor race, and I think you won it at 17 or something. Is Slinger
Yep. Those
Warehouse
are
even still
both.
around? Because I remember
Nope.
that
No.
name from like I showed Kyle this. I made a Reddit page, and it's like so much from God, I don't know, 5 years ago or something like that. I was following every
Yeah.
single thing of Slingshot you could possibly think of. But yeah, I remember Slinger Warehouse, but I haven't heard anything in a while. But like, what's the deal with the Slinger Warehouse cars, either in dirt or on the
Yeah.
pavement?
That was the Paul Latier car that I was talking about when I won 28 times in the one season. So it's
Oh,
probably from around that era. And Paul Latier is a nephew to Rich Tobias. So he started a business called Slinger Warehouse where he was like a slingshot dealer like Randy Smith is at S&S Speedway.
yeah.
And I raced for him when he first started getting it going. And like I was saying, in my second year with him, we got a lot faster. Actually, my first win with him was at Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is an indoor race. They had like an expedition there, and I actually won an indoor race there. That was my first experience with that.
Oh,
But anyway, then as things progressed, he ended up getting rid of Slinger Warehouse, and he kind of moved on to speedsters, and he still helps with speedsters nowadays. Um, his driver is Tim Buckwalter, not in the speedster, but he races for him right now. They've been running 410, wing 410 racing when it fit in Timmy's schedule. So, and they also traveled with the USAC guys a couple times. So Paul knew his stuff. He was really good with setup and getting the car going. And like anything in racing, I always say house cars are always fast, and that was a house car, so it was
yeah,
in my hands.
it's like
And
the Hamlin cars.
and
Yep.
Yankowski ran a bunch for Latier, right?
Yeah, I don't know if his was like out of his shop, but I think he maintained it. And then Mark Sensenig ran it the
Yep.
year after I was done with it, and he ran it. And I don't remember if there was another driver after that. Maybe he did it for a couple of years. But then he
I don't.
got out of the Slinger Warehouse.
I know Seth ran it. Seth Spade ran it indoor
Yep.
for a season, but I don't know
Yeah,
if
that's
Seth
right.
ever ran it outdoor.
No, I don't think so. But yeah, you are right. Yeah, I learned some things from Paul running indoors too that helped me and as a driver. At Fort Wayne, I remember when it was my first time racing it there, and Kyle runs this similar sort of setup. And the first time I went out, well, maybe not today, but it has in the past. When I went out and raced, it was like hiking the whole left front up in the air. I was like hanging on for dear life. And when I actually went in to get the lead, I drove it in so hard the left rear actually picked up a little bit, and I was like, man, I'm like on the edge of
That
elimination here. So
man, that
it was
that
bad.
sounds that sounds like my one Trenton race. I don't know. There's a perfect photo where I'm passing Anthony Reisner for the lead, and I'm almost upside down. I am so far on two wheels that you just see the whole bottom of my car. Man, it's sketchy to drive like that, but for some reason it was fast, and I never want to
Yeah,
drive an indoor car setup like that again.
no, yeah,
That's too
I agree.
funny.
You and I had a good battle last year in the heat race for the at Atlantic City, and
Yep.
I just couldn't get around you. I was glued to your bumper and trying everything I
Yeah.
could, but you got the best of me.
Yeah, for sure. We were last year we had our best car at Atlantic City ever, and the heat race we weren't like on like we were the rest of the weekend, and you were right there, and that's kind of what you said earlier about respect and the way to race people is I would have raced you the way you raced me, and you did the same, you know, and that's what gets you somewhere in these cars sometimes instead of plowing through someone. So not that it makes you feel any better, but I at least appreciated it at that time, and you know that I would race you
Well,
the same way, you know.
you know, sometimes I reflect back on the past, and there's two indoor races that haunt me. Where one was in a heat race at Allentown. Eddie Reeder was in front of me, and it was top two were going through. So I was locked in, and I was faster than him, and I would have had to move him to get around him. And Eddie always ran me clean when we ran borders together on the pavement. So I was like, whatever, it doesn't
Yep.
matter. It's just a heat race. And he inverted
Mm-hmm.
to pole and ended up winning. And then another one
Yep.
is Albany. The one year we ran, I was faster than Sfonda, and you
Mm-hmm.
know, obviously Steve actually bought Slinger Warehouse off Paul Latier, and then you know
Right.
sponsored me. And Steve and I became really close friends. And his son Aiden actually drove for me, and I drove for Steve a couple races when he had Slinger Warehouse, because they were out of Allentown and I was working in the area, so I'd go over and hang out at the shop. But you know, Steve had done a lot for me, so I didn't want to move him out of the way in the heat race, and that's when he went on to win the Albany race. So I'm just I'm good at handing out wins by not passing people and being more aggressive in the heat races.
Jeez.
Well, I could have inverted it that you would have benefited from it, but
That's not
unfortunately,
my
like
luck.
you said,
That's not my luck,
it didn't
Brett.
pan out. Didn't pan out.
I don't think an invert has ever helped me in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh man, but so like we're gonna take a little spin off of racing right now because I see that you have your Chiefs sweatshirt on, and
Yeah.
you know the Chiefs are playing tonight. They're up 9-0 right now, Or no, they're up 9-6.
Yeah.
The Tennessee just scored. Are you like a
Yep.
football fanatic? Like how did you end up choosing the Chiefs as your team? I mean, how long have you been following the Chiefs? Because that's a bumpy road if you go back far enough before Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. When I actually scheduled this with you, I didn't realize they were on Sunday Night Football, so that I was kind of kicking myself that I did that, but it's all good.
Well, it's only the start of the
but
second.
anyway,
It's okay.
that's right. That's right. But it's a silly story, but the way I picked Kansas City is Travis and I we used to play video games. My dad wasn't a huge football guy, and we kind of played video games, and he was like, you gotta pick a team. You know, he liked the 49ers, and I was little at the time, and my favorite color is red, and the Chiefs are bright red. So I picked the Chiefs, and I've followed them throughout all the years of struggles and frustration. But once they got Patrick Mahomes, now it looks like it was a smart decision the whole time. So they're really good right now. So we'll see if they can kind of make a run here towards the end of the year and maybe get another Super Bowl. But I do try to watch the Chiefs every week if I can, depending around what my schedule is. But yeah, I do. I don't know if you guys do any of that. I do fantasy football and that sort of thing with people from work and friends, and so you do a little bit of that, and that helps you keep up with what's going on in the NFL. But I do generally watch an NFL game. But I heard you talk earlier. I watched a NASCAR race a little bit. I'm with you. I'm not with Kyle. I thought it was a horrible race, but I do like watching NASCAR from time to time. Yeah.
I someone's got to spin out with like 3 to go. We want overtime. People want overtime.
Yeah.
They don't want this like. Maybe back in the day it was it was better for like the long runs, and then you win the race. But
yeah,
people want to see bash. I mean, you can go 5 wide going into 1. So.
When Bowman crashed, I thought Michael McDowell took him out on purpose to.
Oh my gosh, he hit him so hard in the door. He's just blind as a bat. He's just like I don't see him there, so I'm just gonna keep moving.
Maybe I don't. Maybe I just don't find it boring. I think the one thing that sucks about NASCAR races, and people hate me for it, I think they're too long. I think they need to be shortened up because I don't have 3 to 4 hours of my day to kill. I have
some of them aren't that bad. Some of them aren't that bad.
No.
I think 2 hours is like the perfect amount. I think.
But I mean,
3 hours
also,
is too much.
I'm a huge Formula One fan. I watch every Formula One race, and barring any insane weather scenarios that have happened in the last couple years that caused several hour red flags and delay the race, an F1 race is an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, and
2 hours.
I mean,
that's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah,
because you got to have like the longer races to do the pit stops and do the whole like. Anybody can run 20 laps and you never know who's gonna win, but like the attrition and like the fixing the car, making it better in the long term. Like if they did a continuous 100 lap slingshot race where you had to like put fuel in it and stuff, like it would be chaos. It'd be so nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brett, what are your opinions on, now that he brings it up, the Kutztown Comet, the 100 lap slingshot race, or the Hamlin race?
They don't really do it at Kutztown anymore, do they? They haven't done it in a couple of years, right?
No, I don't think
it's like the Comet 50 or something.
Yeah. I like the longer distance races, but only if they pay well. It's not really beneficial if they don't pay well because you use up your stuff more. But Hamlin is kind of the best one where they still have it and they still pay well. I just couldn't make it on the this past year when they had their races. It just couldn't fit in my schedule. But those ones I try to make when we have them. I did like Kutztown when they did it. I think I do better at it. Kind of fits my style. You got to be patient. You got to make it all the way to the end. So I did like them, but if they're only going to pay $200 to win, no, I don't think we need them.
We'll work. I'll work on something to get either lap sponsor money or more sponsor money. Like I'll try to do whatever I can to get because that should be a higher paying race. It shouldn't be like 200 to win for 100. It's like 4th of July. There's always tons of cars. Like we can at least do 500 to 1,000 to win. I would assume. Like
I'll commit right now. I'll run the Hamlin 100 lapper next year as long as I don't have a TQ race that day. if there's a TQ race, I gotta run that. I don't know what their schedule looks like. They haven't released it yet, but I will
Gotcha.
commit to running the Hamlin 100 next year in the slingshot.
Okay. I will commit to filming it.
I'll yeah, I'll
And talking to the
double duty.
winner.
I'll run the micro and then run the
Nice.
100 lapper.
Hey, Gavin Shalat is asking how Worlds went, Brett, and this might be a loaded question, but if you want to answer, you can. If you don't, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll answer it. I don't care. So Friday went well. We started 19th. Well, it didn't go well because I drew bad, but I actually ran a B main and qualified through that way because didn't do well in the heat. But we started 19th, and I actually made it all the way up to second. Probably passed like 4 cars total. That kind of tells you what the crashing stuff was. But I got into second, and I ran behind. You know his name, Ron. I can't think of it now. It's what is the number? It's like 390.
Yeah, it's actually it's a
starts with a C. His last name. It's like
Shalat.
Shalat or something.
It's Shalat.
Shalat. Yeah, that's it. Yep.
I think
So I got
it's
second
Gavin.
behind him. Yeah, he did really well, and I only got behind him maybe with like 5 to go, but he ran a good race, and I couldn't get past him.
It's
we were right
Garrett,
there, but I
Garrett
just couldn't
Shalat.
get him.
Yeah, sorry.
Yep.
But
he did really well, so he got second there. Then Saturday during the day race, I got 4th in the heat race. We started 13th. Got actually up to second again. I didn't actually think that would happen 2 days in a row, but we avoided a wreck. The whole outside line kind of got cleared out on the one restart, and I got up to like 5th or something, and I passed up to second then. And we had our yellow on the white flag lap. I was right on the leader, but didn't need the yellow, but it happened, and it is what it is. But then on the restart, we went through 1 and 2 normal, going down into turn 1 and 2. Actually, I got pushed from behind, and then going into turn 3 at the last second, down the middle of the backstretch, I looked to my left to make sure that there was no one there, and there wasn't. So I kind of thought I was fine going into turn 3, and I saw a white nose at the last second coming into turn 3 and just clobbered me in the left rear, and chain disintegrated and took out everything on the left hand side of the car.
Oh my god.
Ended up being Dylan Hope that was behind me in someone else's car, and it was
he was running
extremely frustrating that he took me out on the last lap, last corner, when we were running second and third and didn't have a shot at winning. Now that was in the moment. What you didn't know then was the leader got DQ'd because he didn't have 25 pounds in his right rear. So he ended up inheriting the win then. So it makes it look like it was a good move or smart move, I guess. I don't know, a good move, but for his experience level,
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
he was running Luke. He was running one of Luke Molosky's cars or whatever his last name is, the 22.
You got it.
Yeah, he ran. That kid ran super good at Speed Weeks when I think you won that night.
Definitely.
He ran super good. Like I didn't even know who he was or where he came from. He just like was leading like half of the race. I was like, who's this dude?
Yeah. Yeah, he has no experience, and he improved throughout the year. He's actually getting pretty good. But
yeah, that's fantastic.
In that moment, without knowing that the leader is going to get DQ'd, and I still feel this way, it was an unacceptable move. And as I told him, we still had 2 races left. There was nothing on the line. We were racing for literally 200 to win, probably 100 for second, and 75 for third.
Even if you're racing for 1,000 to win, like, I don't know
But on the flip side of this, he hit me and knocked this. I know he didn't probably expect all this damage, but what it did to the car was it destroyed basically everything, even the left side cover of the motor, which we have to get on now. And
holy cow.
We ended up getting $30 for where we finished and $1,000 worth of damage. But anyway, then we were in good shape for where we were in the points, so we ended up just loading up and going home. We didn't race the night race. We did actually have Cody Klein actually offered me to race his car, which was super nice of him. I didn't want to take him up on it though, because I knew we were in decent shape, and just, he went to race, so
yeah,
didn't want to take it from him. And other people did offer their motors and stuff, which is really nice.
That's cool.
With how the racing community is with that sort of thing. But we loaded up and went home, and then I I just didn't think it was worthwhile going back to get punished some
Yeah.
more on Sunday. So we ended up not racing the rest of the way. So I still feel the track had potential if you had, people that wanted to race the way you're supposed to race. So, but
That's
yeah, that's kind of
the
how it went.
unfortunate theme, I guess, was the lack of respect on the track. I think everyone was
Correct.
just like maybe on edge, or just like they're like, I need to do well because it's the World Finals, or like maybe I can get my name out there. I don't know. It was just because like
Yeah.
at all the other tracks during speed weeks, we didn't have a lot of cautions. Like everyone kind of raced really well. Like you raced all 4 races, and I don't know. There's not too many cautions. I don't think, not to the extent to
Yeah.
what I've heard from Worlds. So that kind of stinks. But
I feel like anymore there's like a lot of inconsistency with the drivers, right? Like obviously, like Brett and I
Hmm.
said, when I race him, I know what to expect. I know what he's gonna do and everything. But a lot of the other people that are in the division now, it's some weeks they race one way, other weeks they race a completely different way, and it's just like it's just kind of all over the place. And I don't know, what a solution is, or why it's changed so much over the years, where people just kind of, one week they're the fastest car on track, the next week they're just, bouncing off everything.
Yeah, makes no sense to me, but I mean that's just not the way I race. So
yeah,
I mean he reached out to me and he did talk to me. I think he understands the situation, but it doesn't. You can't go back on it type thing. So it's
yeah. I mean, at
you
least he
just gotta
reached
move
out.
forward. It is what it is.
I mean, at least he reached out. I mean, to be honest, some people might not even do that. So, I mean,
Yeah,
but he's raced you for a
it's
long time, so it's kind of like, maybe if it was somebody else, maybe he wouldn't. I don't know. That's
yeah for
I've
sure.
only I have never talked to him, so I don't
Yeah,
know. but
yeah. It just took away the weekend a little bit, but you gotta move forward and try to move on to the next race and put the car back together and try to run strong again.
exactly. But all right, I think we're gonna start winding down here. We're a little we're like almost an hour and 20 in here. I feel like we could just keep talking for like a whole nother hour. I don't want to hold you from your Chiefs game. Hopefully they have a good second half like they normally do. But
Yeah,
but yeah, Brett, I
thanks.
really appreciate you being on here and just taking the time to talk to us. I know it's a little bit longer than I initially anticipated, but if you just want to give a shout out to any of your sponsors, your crew, anywhere they can find you on social media, where they can follow your racing, or maybe when you're going to post your schedule or something like that, so they can come watch you, or maybe even contact you for a sportsman ride.
Well, if somebody wants to contact me for a sportsman ride, they can reach out to me Messenger on Facebook. That would be great. For help, I gotta thank my mom and dad. They've supported me all these years racing. My brother Travis and his family, my nieces Andy and Carson, and uh, person Craig. He helps a lot at the track for our racing, which is always helpful. As far as sponsorship, you can't do it without them. So I'd like to thank Pioneer Pole Building, Specialty Rigging, RG Hoffman Electrical. I have a list of sponsors that we have each year, and they luckily have been able to maintain a lot of them each year, and they're very helpful to make us race as many races as we want to race. So I can't do it without them. And social media, I don't really have a racing page. On my personal page, I do put up some highlights here or there. Um, for a schedule, we I don't even plan one in advance anymore. We just race. We see what the schedule is, and then we race week by week. But our closest tracks to home are Schellheimer's and Action Track, so we generally race there because they're close to home. And we've been racing Linda's on Friday nights just because it kind of fits. But we have to see what their schedule is and if we can kind of make that stuff all go next year. So we'll have to wait, and it's the off season just started, so have to wait to see what all that stuff shakes out to be.
Awesome. Any final words, Kyle, before we close it up?
No, I mean, I thought it was a really good to get to sit down and talk to you. Obviously, you and I have been racing together a long time, and you've always been one of my fiercest competitors, and I have an absolute ton of respect for you. So, great to sit down and have a long conversation with you about all your
Yeah,
accomplishments, and I look forward to racing with you again next year.
yeah, for sure. I thank you guys for having me, and hopefully this show keeps building, and Well, maybe I'll have you back on again once you have many more people, right?
The 200 win celebration.
That's
Exactly.
right. There you go.
Yes.
Mark
yes.
it down. Mark it down
Yep.
this
we'll
now, Ron.
There you
we'll
go.
definitely have to have you back on here uh,
Book it.
in the near future. Hopefully, we'll see. Maybe after you're a 7-time world champion, we'll bring you back on
Yeah.
here. But yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. It's been super fun. Just nice to get to talk a little bit more about the older racing that I wasn't like there for. 'Cause
Yeah.
I didn't come back to the area till like 2013, so you were already, deep into the the racing there and getting a lot of wins. So that was really cool. As far as guests that we have coming up here in the next few weeks, next week we actually have Tanner Holmes, who's a sprint car driver out of west side of the country, out in was it California or something like that, or Colorado. And then we have Kyle Traska. That's Hervé's TQ friend, right? Who's putting up
the current ATQ MRA champion this year, won his first title, and he's coming on. We're gonna talk about Turkey Derby, which we got coming up in a couple weeks at Wall Stadium.
Awesome. And then after that, we got Dylan Hahn, the junior slingshot world champion from this year, which is super cool. He's had a really great season. I made the mistake of saying it was one of the best I've ever seen, and I got messages from Aiden Donaldson and Danny Buckafuska telling me that I was wrong and that their season was much better. Now, Danny's is pretty wild, and to the fact that they didn't even, he supposedly didn't let him run juniors anymore because he won too much, which I totally understand because he's a nut. But Aiden also had a really crazy year as well, winning a lot of races as well.
Yeah, won a ton of races.
I think
he at Hamlin.
As far as I could tell, he has the most wins in a row in Hamlin. He won 7 weeks in a row in a junior there, which is like mind blowing to even win 2 or 3. After that, we have the Snydersville All-Star champion James Benz, so that's going to be cool. And he raced at Worlds and stuff. I've seen him progress over the last few years, and it's been really cool. So been doing really good. After that, it's kind of up in the air because then it's late December into like Christmas and stuff. So we'll have to figure out like a Christmas special or something like that. I think that'd be pretty fun.
Definitely.
But yeah, there's a lot of people that have messaged and want to be on the show. So far we're gonna probably be able to roll into like April with everybody. So that's kind of cool. And then I have some few ideas to do some live in-person podcasts, which is cool, and do maybe some car unveilings. That's kind of the idea floating around right now. So we've got a lot of cool stuff lined up, and a lot of cool stuff I'm planning on doing for next year for Hamlin, like the weekly payouts and a bounty system and stuff there. So that's going to be super fun. And I expect both of you guys at Hamlin for the 100-lapper. I'll do my best to bring in sponsorship money so there's actual incentive to win a 100-lapper. But so yeah, anyway, now that I'm done rambling, thank you, Brett, for being on the show. I really appreciate it. I know it's been went a little bit longer than normal, but yeah, man, I appreciate it, and hopefully we can link up again next season and make Speed Weeks a little bit better, and I don't know, just hang out at the track some more. Really appreciate you, man.
Sounds good. Thanks again, guys.
All right.
Talk to you later.